Hello, everyone. As you hop on, as always, send me some hearts so I know I'm not talking to myself. Beverage of choice this afternoon is seltzer. Wow, I'm tired, y'all. Is some seltzer. I really wanted to get a second cup of coffee, but I'm trying to be a responsible adult and not drink the second cup. Do we like bubbly? Do we not like bubbly? And this one is strawberry mango. It's fantastic. It's from Target. We are going to be talking to my friend and colleague, Lindley Ashline. She is a phenomenal fat activist in this space, and she just hopped on. So once she requests, we're going to talk about, the magic of community and a retreat that she has coming up. Oh, yummy. Target order. Yeah, strawberry mango. 10 out of 10 recommend. Hi.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good, and I'm feeling very accomplished right now because I've managed to arrange my office space so you can't see the absolute chaos behind me. Uh,
That's why this is up, baby. I was like, do I clean or do I just put a partition up? So the partition one out. I know we have been trying to schedule this, so I'm glad we made it work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so cool to be able to talk about this common thread of community spaces too.
Yeah. And I just came off of my weekend retreat where I had some providers who've been working with me in such a high level capacity who are seeking to do the most trauma informed body image work. And it was so magical to be in the same space as people whom I've worked with online for the last year. So, so it seems like a beautiful transition for you to talk about the retreat that you have coming up.
Yeah, so Laura Burns and I are doing the Exhale retreat in November,
Mm.
and I'm a little bit mad that I missed that Bree was holding a retreat so that I couldn't do an Instagram live and return and like reciprocate.
All
So
good. All good.
you've been told for next time. Because
Thank you, friend.
I feel like I don't ever want to see, I mean, let me try that again. I feel like I don't ever see the people that I want to see on Instagram anymore, so I keep missing
I
really cool
know.
stuff.
I know.
But
It's all the algorithm stuff. It's wild.
yeah, yeah, I've been making an effort to start following people, more people's newsletters and more people's
Wow.
RSS feeds and stuff, so that I'm actually seeing the people I want to see. But at any rate, Laura Burns, who runs Radical Body Love, the
Mhm.
Radical Body Love account on Instagram.
Yep.
So hop over to Laura's account too. But we are partnering up to do a retreat in Washington State in November. And so
Cool.
Laura is a fat positive, a fat activist and fat positive yoga teacher.
Mm.
And if you're not already familiar with my work, I'm a fat positive photographer. And so we have come up with this really cool retreat, and we put so much time into it already and so much work. And this is such a really cool stage to be in coming up on the retreat. So it's
Mm.
today is September 19th. It's November, starts November 6th. And so I can't do math in my head, but there are a certain number of weeks
Mhm.
left. But we're at the point where one of the things behind me that you can't see is a big box with a bunch of the some of the shipments that have come in for our gifts that we're doing for our gift bags, and things are just coming together in this way that's really cool right now. So it's such a fun time to be able to talk about this. But it's November 6th through 9th, and it's in Union, Washington.
Mm.
You have never heard of Union? That's okay. I had never heard of it either. But it's on the Hood Canal, which is this beautiful body of water in Washington State.
Mm.
With it's outside Seattle, and it's got this beautiful view of the Olympic Mountains, and it's just a lovely. It's a resort. It's a beautiful hotel. It's very woodsy and very Pacific Northwesty.
Mm.
Um, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so that you have this beautiful rustic,
Ah,
quiet space to be in. Yeah,
amazing. It sounds
yeah.
so dreamy.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of I mean, we did a ton of research in advance to find the most fat friendly, body
Ooh.
friendly venue that we could hold it at.
Mm.
And like I drove out, I drove out, and I took a measuring tape with me, and I made
Wow.
my venue contact like walk around, and we like measured the space between the toilet and the wall in the hotel rooms, and like
Wow.
measured the bathtub, measured all the chairs in the lobby. And so there's a page on the, and you can find this in my link in bio. Is the easiest way to get to the retreat page, but there's a page linked off the main retreat page where there's all these photos of like my hands measuring things, so that you can
Wow.
see exactly how accessible it is.
Wow.
Um,
That is just something that I feel like is so, like, it's not done, right? Like, I think back to, I switched majors many times, but one of the majors I was going to be I was an education major, and one of my classes where we were learning about like ADA accommodations, like we went in and we were supposed to measure the bathrooms to find that like none of them even met ADA standards, like, and now living in this body, I know that sometimes that is a thing that prevents people from wanting to travel, from wanting to go away.
yeah, yeah, and we deliberately looked for places where Southwest Airlines flies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a beautiful coincidence that the best venue we found, the most fat friendly one, is actually right. It's not far from where I live. It's about an hour and a half from me. So I was able to go visit in person and plop my butt in all the chairs.
Yeah.
Um, and
Like,
be
that is
and
a thing that
yeah.
people don't realize. Like, that is a luxury, a privilege that not everyone has. And don't you have like an amazing article or resource on like fat friendly furniture? Is that
Yeah, I've got a couple things on my website that are
yeah.
like, if you're looking for, particularly for people who have physical business spaces, like
Mm,
if you need fat friendly chairs, here are your fat friendly chair high weight limit chair options, and so on. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a bunch of resources. It's at bodyliberationphotos.com is my website, and
Awesome.
there's a ton of resources there on things like accessible furniture.
Oh,
Um, and I want to be really clear as I say that, and my lens is primarily fat accessibility.
yes.
Um, I do try to keep in mind things like ADA guidelines and disability friendly accommodations as
Correct.
well. But that is slightly outside my lane. So I want to be really clear,
Same.
that when I'm talking about accessibility, I'm primarily talking about body size.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are the things that you have planned for this retreat?
Oh my gosh. So Laura's a yoga teacher, so there's going to be some yoga. But it's really cool because I find the thought of a yoga retreat really intimidating. Like I would probably never go to a retreat that was like a yoga retreat. Because I like doing yoga, but I'm an extreme beginner and I'm not flexible at all.
Same.
So Laura does accessible restorative yoga,
Mm,
is going to be the focus, particularly for this retreat. It's going to be a lot of restorative yoga. And so if you're not familiar with that, it's basically draping yourself in various really comfortable positions.
it's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, there's tons of props. There's tons of, it's really, and I have taken Laura's restorative yoga classes on Zoom before, so that, I mean, both because I do it for my own sake. But it was really nice to be able to come in and be like, okay, I know that this is friendly. I know that this is gentle. And of course, just because you're fat doesn't mean you're a beginner at yoga or that you can't do other styles of yoga. But this is really about rest and ease. And
Mm,
so everything that we're doing, we're very deliberately going through this process of how much ease is this going to give people? How are we spacing things, different activities? Because there's going to be, we're doing a tea blending workshop. I'm teaching a posing workshop. We're doing, like I said, lots of yoga, and then some very vulnerable group events, group workshops. There's going to be, we're doing a zine making workshop where we're going to be exploring things. There's going to be a very easy hike, weather permitting. It is November. It is the Pacific Northwest. Um, bring an umbrella. You
Oh, I
will
was
need
going to
it.
say, what does that mean? Weather permitting. It rains a lot.
It will be wet. Yes. It will probably be gloomy. We're gonna all go to the pool. There's an indoor saltwater pool with
Wow.
this. It's in this amazing, like, this huge greenhouse.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
like, it's all glassed in, and it's so it's got this great big hot tub and pool. And yes, there is a pool. There's a chairlift into the pool.
Mhm.
Um, and we check things like, if you use a scooter, can you get from the hotel to the
Mhm.
pool house with a scooter? And yes, you know, things like that. But yeah, we're all gonna hang out in the pool and hot tub and, like,
Oh,
enjoy the view of the mountains if the mountains are out. And but it's very structured so that you
mhm.
have time to go back to your room and
Yeah.
chill between things. And you, like, if you want to disappear for a day, like, nobody's gonna guilt you for, like, not attending every single thing.
Mhm.
It's very structured to be restful and easy, and just, you know, exhale is very, you know, we spent months just talking about the name.
I love
like
it.
like what is this, you know, what is the feel of this going to be? And it's so structured to be restorative in every
Mhm.
sense.
So powerful. And something I've been talking about a lot on my page is like healing from burnout and redefining what rest means. And I
Mhm.
think especially diet culture has, like taught us so much about what we think rest should be, and like what sleep should be, what movement should be. And one of the things that I have found is rest for my soul is community. And so, I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, can you talk about why this retreat exists? Why is it important for you to have this community opportunity?
Yeah, there are two things that have been really formative for me, as far as so much of my activism goes, but also as far as my where I place a lot of my attention these days. And it is for these forms of community. And I'm a big believer in online community as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm in my early 40s. I won't say I was an early internet adopter, but, like, I was back on IRC in 2000, like, joining channels. Like,
Yeah.
online community has always been absolutely vital for me, particularly as a fat weirdo who was born on the wrong coast for me. You know, like, finding people that I gelled with required me to be online. Um, but these fat friendly spaces, these spaces that prioritize fat people, have been so important for me in the last 10 years, in part because it's just so cool to be in spaces where you can just you don't have to worry that somebody's going to, like, agonize over eating a quarter of a donut. You don't have to worry that people are going to be, like, body shaming right next to you. You don't have to worry that people don't get it.
Mhm.
You don't worry that you have to be in that constant mode where you're ready to defend your existence.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, both, like, online community is also really important to me, and I now run one of these very safe, body safe online communities
Ah,
myself, over in Discord, actually. And again, you can find all this
love
on my
it.
website, bodyliberationphotos.com. But in-person community is so important too. And in the era of COVID, um, it's fraught. It's hard because there is an organization that used to run yearly retreats, here in the Pacific Northwest, that was specifically for fat folks. That is Pacific Northwest Fatties. They're currently kind of dormant, but it's an amazing organization. Um, and so I did one of those retreats pre-COVID, and it
Mhm.
was a lot less. Like, there weren't a bunch of activities planned. It was more like a whole bunch of people together in a big house for a few days, and it was
Mhm.
also very, very cool. But just being in that in-person community, it normalizes bodies like ours.
Mhm.
It normalizes There are so many in-person spaces where fat bodies aren't welcome. It normalizes that we get to be centered too. We get to be welcome too. Um, our bodies get to be, I don't like the word accommodated very much because it makes it sound like we're some exception that has
Mm.
needs special privileges or exists, but that it just centers our bodies and bodies like ours. And
It includes us.
yeah, yeah, where it's just we can just assume that we will be welcome and included physically as well as mentally and so on. Um, and yeah, again, I realize that in the era of COVID, running an in-person event is a little fraught, and we've done what we can for COVID safety, but we will be in a hotel with other people. Like, there's just only so much we can do about that. But we are asking that people be vaccinated, boosted, and test before they come. But just this in-person community is just this really different aspect
Mm.
of community and of like on the internet nobody knows you're a dog is the silly old
Right,
joke.
right.
Um and like it's true in that even if I am in community online with other people, I'm still in my physical space that fits me. So that's good. But
Yeah.
it also means that I'm not necessarily being seen in my
Mm.
body.
Yeah.
Unless I am making an extra effort to say post selfies in that space or to take a video of myself and put it in that space. Like I have to do this extra thing. And so being accepted in online spaces is really important, but it's a different aspect
Totally.
than just chilling with a bunch of people who have bodies that are somewhat like yours, and they might be a little smaller, they might be a lot bigger, who knows? But just being neutral, it
Yeah.
being to be a little wonky for a second, to be the unmarked state, to
Oh,
not be the exception.
oh, that's so beautiful. And I'm here for the wonky, but I also feel like for myself, it's like when we are our own harshest critics. So I know that if I'm by myself, sometimes it's hard for even me to ask for the accommodation or for the, for my body to be included. But when you can see your lived experience in someone else, for whatever reason, it's such a validating experience because I can have far more empathy for you than I might hold for me.
Yeah, yeah, and to talk about I've talked a little bit about Laura and the restorative yoga that Laura is going to
Yeah.
be doing, but let me talk about the photography aspect of this.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm being the co-host of this retreat in both an aspect of I'm doing the tea blending and I love tea, so I'm really excited about that. But even with something like tea blending, we're still thinking about how does this tie into
Mm.
body liberation and how does
Yeah.
this tie into rest and ease?
Mm.
So every single thing we're doing that thought process. But I'm also doing a posing workshop and things, and again tying that very specifically to body liberation, as opposed to the sort of slightly shamey. You have to hold your camera, at this
Mm.
specific angle so that it has your double chins. We're not doing that stuff.
I love that.
But but specifically from a photography angle,
Yeah.
I find that when I work with my photography clients
Mm-hmm.
who come to me, there is a very powerful aspect of being literally seen,
Mm-hmm.
and of playing with the power balance of having somebody pointing a great big camera at you who is seeing you, but also having the power to set boundaries and say no, and say, no, this is the way I want to put my body, and this is the way I want to be seen. And so we do a lot of playing with that power balance.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something very powerful in saying, yes, my body is ready to be seen by a professional photographer with a camera. My body is ready. My body is just as valid and just as worthy. And I might feel pretty. I might feel beautiful. I might not. That it doesn't matter. And I realize that sounds really weird, but like I was just on right before I joined this, I was on Zoom with a client that I'm photographing next week, And we had a big discussion about whether she wanted to do like to get like professional hair and makeup done beforehand.
Mm.
And we had this big discussion of what kind of power does that give you? Does it take power away to be seen that way?
Mm.
Whatever. I have a whole blog about this. I talk about it on my social media.
I love it.
But having I will be popping in and out of various yoga sessions and various activities and just wandering around with the camera too. And so I might pop into the hotel lobby while we're all hanging out like with my camera and do some photos. And so the recipients will the retreat attendees will receive those photos, after the
Mm.
retreat. You'll get all the photos as part of your attendance.
Wow. Wow.
And then I'm also offering some mini sessions. We're going to be opening those up in a day or two, I think. I have some limited spots for mini sessions, like one-on-one private sessions with me at the retreat as well.
So powerful. So
Yeah.
powerful. And as somebody who's taken a lot of headshots, being with a photographer who understands, you know, actual plus size bodies or large, or, fat bodies. I just got some headshots done this weekend by a photographer who specializes in that. And like I told her ahead of time, I was like, listen, the last photographer just didn't take into consideration, and like she was so supportive, and it's such a vulnerable experience. Like I think people think doing yoga is vulnerable, and to me, like taking a photo is such a vulnerable process.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, I do a lot of talking about the power balance of a camera,
Oh,
both like when you're holding a camera, and taking selfies versus working with somebody else holding the camera and so on. But yeah, I want it to be a little bit more meaningful than, oh, it's a retreat and also there's going to be some photos. I mean, there
yes.
will be there will be some photos, and we'll do a group photo at one point,
Yeah.
yada yada.
Yeah.
We'll do the things that you would expect. But like I said, every bit of that is infused with
Mm.
what is giving power back, what is giving, restoration, what is giving liberation.
Oh,
Um, like every little bit of it, and it's been such a cool process on
oh,
this side to do too.
it sounds so amazing. I wish I could come. So what are the details for the retreat? Like when do people have to sign up by? Like give us all that.
Yeah, so it is November 6th through 9th in Union, Washington. It's about an hour and a half outside of Seattle. If you fly into SeaTac, which is the Seattle Tacoma Airport, SEA, Southwest flies in, so you can use their customer of size policy to fly in. And then we're not offering transportation. It's not included. But we have a Discord channel that we've set up specifically so that people can coordinate transportation if they want.
Mm,
So attendees get access to that upon
amazing.
registration. It is at the Alderbrook Resort, which we talked about it at the beginning, but it's this super cool, rustic Pacific Northwest. It's all glass and wood, and it's fancy, but like rustic fancy.
I love rustic fancy.
Yeah, and it's got easy parking. It's there's lots of space, and the parking note's right at the hotel, which was nice. Like there's no like you don't have to walk a long way once you park.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's the Alderbrook Resort, and they have a really wonderful website too that has all kinds of information about. They have a spa and so you can book spa services. In our September email that goes out to attendees, we're releasing like the bare outline of the schedule, like free and busy spaces so that you can book stuff at the spa if you want at this
So
point.
great.
Yeah, and it is you can get there through the link in my bio. That's the easiest way to get there.
Okay.
But in theory, registration is open. We still have, I think, 3 or 4 spots open.
Wow.
And in theory, you can book anytime right up until the retreat starts. In practice, the hotel only has so many rooms.
Yeah.
And so if you want to get a room, you should probably book now.
Sure.
Because it is a hotel, but it's not infinite. So you can book anytime. The sooner you book, the more payments that we can offer. Hang on, I'm scrolling. How many payments? You can pay all at once, or you can pay. It's got a place where you can. I'm sorry, apparently I can't read and talk at the same time.
Oh, that's okay.
Where's
I didn't even see the question.
register now? Register now. That's where it is. There are 3 payments left, I think. If like it'll break it into 3.
Yeah.
If
So
you
if you
want to do
wanted
that,
an
or you can
extended
pay.
payment plan, then you
Yeah,
have to register probably, I would say, before the end of this month.
yeah,
And there's only 3 or 4 spots left. So that's, I mean, it's not an opportunity that you want to wait on, especially if you've been feeling like you need community, feeling like that, that community, and yeah, and just being able to exhale and to, sort of as like I don't want to say contradiction, or just like as an after from the pandemic, of being able to be live in community with people who get it. So it
yeah.
sounds like it's going to be an incredible and amazing opportunity. If somebody's like on the fence, like they're thinking about it, but they have like questions, how should they contact you?
Oh yeah, you can DM me. You can click through at the link in my bio. If you click through there, there's a contact on the
Mm.
site. The standard.
This,
But yeah, you're also welcome to email me through Instagram. You can DM, however you want to do it. I'm around. But yeah, message me with your questions. There's a ton of information on the retreat page. Again, fastest way is link in bio. If you like to do it the hard way, you can also go to radicalbodylove.com. That's Laura's site. She's got the main retreat page. And then /exhale-registration. Or just go to the link in my bio. It's easier. But
I always just say link in bio,
yeah.
and I know I would be a person who would be like, I probably want to talk to you beforehand, so I definitely
Mhm.
recommend reaching out to Lindley and asking any questions. But it sounds like it's going to be an incredible weekend, and just beautiful community, and yeah, I want to come to the next one.
Yeah, yeah. If this one is a wild success, so hopefully we'll be able to do another one next year. That would be amazing.
So
Because we had so many ideas we couldn't even fit in
I
because we were making so much time for ease.
for
And so
sure.
it's like, well, we can't fit those extra 5 things in because then we're going from activity to activity on it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me
Of
on too.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts or anything you want to leave folks with?
Um, I think my only final thing is about the private mini sessions that people can book. Those are really cool too because I've been able, because we will all be at the retreat anyway, I've been able to make them a lot more financially accessible than
Amazing.
my regular sessions, because we'll all be there. And so the time is easier for me to allocate, and it makes it more financially, it's cheaper.
Absolutely.
Um, and yeah,
Absolutely.
and there are really limited spots for that because I'm also going to be, running the retreat. So yeah, those are going to be really cool too. You can pick whether you want to do like more portrait style or more boudoir style, and we'll do it there on
Oh,
the grounds, and it'll be lovely.
so
But yeah,
fun.
yeah, I'm so excited about this, and so excited to be able to offer this.
It's
So yeah, like Bree said, just message me if you have any questions. I'm happy to chat about it.
Yeah. Did you do? I don't know if you remember this. I feel like I've told you, but my first experience, like hearing from you, was on Christy Harrison's podcast, and
Oh
you
yeah.
you were talking about fat photos and like and I was like, this is amazing. And so I like looked you up afterwards, and I was like, oh, this is wild. This is so cool. So it feels full circle. Then now I get to share and promote your photography yoga fat positive retreat. So thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
and oh, one more thing, super, super quick.
Go for it.
Like way back, like 20 minutes ago, I saw a comment go
Hmm.
by really quickly. It was
Hmm.
something about kayaks.
Yeah. Do you know any fat size inclusive kayaks?
Oh, okay. So 10-second version. I don't know a whole lot about kayaks. What I do know is that there are sit-in where you're like down in them, like you think about
Yeah.
like whitewater kayaks and stuff, and then there's sit on top. where those are a lot more size inclusive because you're not way down in it. It does,
Mm.
however, mean that it's a little less stable and you're probably going to get more wet because you're
Mm.
on top of it. Um, I think there might be one in my shop. I say that like I have a basement full of kayaks. It's an affiliate link. Um, I think there might be one in my shop. Link in
Yeah.
bio, as usual. But beyond that, it really depends on what you need the weight limit to be and what your hip size is.
Mm.
There are some great conversations about that in groups, in Facebook groups like Caring for Our Fat Bodies and Living While Fat. And yeah, if you wanna ping me about it, DM me, email me, and I'll dig up what I can. But that's what I know off the top of my head.
Well, before we go, I figure we should mention this as well. You mentioned the traveler of size policy for Southwest. Just in case anyone doesn't know what that is, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Southwest Airlines has what they call the customer of size
That's
policy.
it. Yeah.
They are the only airline in the U.S. that has a similar policy. And a few years ago, they went from being the worst to fly on for fat bodies, and then they had a bunch of bad PR about it, and now they are the best. So there are a couple ways that you can go about it. I recommend Googling for Southwest customer of size, how to use, something like that, because I can't remember the details off the top of my head. But
I just utilized it. So all
oh,
you have to
perfect,
do,
perfect.
yeah. So I'm going to a wedding in Tennessee in a few weeks, and so all I had to do was book 2 tickets, same name, like you can book this under the same name, and then afterwards you can email them and say, I booked 2 tickets for the flight, and they'll refund you for the second ticket. Alternatively, you can also just go to the airport and request the customer of size policy. I have had clients that the experience with that is they'll usually give a little bit of pushback. Like, I think it's standard that they have to tell you, like, hey, did you know that if you do this, somebody might get bumped? And I know myself, and I'll be like, no, it's fine. So, no, I was like, I'm going to just buy the ticket. But yeah, like they have to say that if you go and you say, yep, I know that somebody can be bumped so that I can get a seat, then they'll prioritize you. You'll get to board first. And especially if you don't have the expendable resources to book the ticket in advance, that's an option. So
Yeah. Yeah, so that is what we highly, highly recommend if you are flying in for the treat, which some people are.
yeah,
We highly recommend if you can manage to get on Southwest to do that because it is
absolutely.
from what I'm hearing, it is by far the easiest way to deal with flying as a larger person.
Absolutely. And as somebody who flies a lot and flies, often, I've never used Southwest. And again, I mean, this is privilege, but I'll fly first class because I don't even want to see if I would fit into a coach or not first class seat. But the prices were astronomical, so it just made sense to try it out. So I'll be trying it in early October, and I'll report back on it so that if there are still
Uh,
spots left, which I don't think there will be, I'll give you a tag and let you know how it goes.
yeah, please do. Thank you so much for having me.
You're
I always
so
love talking to you.
welcome. I love talking with you. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, please reach out and ask about this retreat. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. And yeah, thanks for spending the last 30 minutes with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care. Bye bye.